Did
Apologies
you
for
oversleep
being.
too?
No,
Okay.
my browser decided to oversleep, or maybe it's Restream's accepting servers. I'm not exactly sure. We had some technical difficulties, but we're here now. So good morning.
Yes. Good morning. All right. Besides your tech snafu, how's it going so far? Because we got a guest coming. I'm excited.
We do have a guest coming. I mean, nothing so far has gone smoothly. My daughter has. We have an arrangement that she can make me coffee, and she gets $1 per day for every day that she makes me a coffee because she wants the money.
Sure.
And I have, that didn't go smoothly this morning, so my coffee is in the kitchen, not in here. So I'm going to be drinking that later on.
No,
But
it's not.
oh, actually, it's not. It's right here. Oh, thank you, my love.
Yes.
It's on the top, so I decided just to get it with a fork.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Important things going on right now, guys. John is receiving the coffee, and there it is.
The nectar.
The world is good now. The world is good.
The nectar. I'm on my way to being a functional human being. It's gonna be awesome.
Yep. Sorry, guys. We had some tech
issues, notifications.
But hey,
gonna be off. We're here though. Good morning, Ann.
Good to see you. Okay. Well, we've been hyping this a little bit. It's not like
we have been hyping this
yet. But if I had banners, I'd be holding them. I just love this guy. He just puts his life out there. And now what's funny is he's pretty private, I think, in general. He's a pretty private guy, but and he makes it seem like he does share really important stuff that matter to people. So it seems very transparent in other ways. So it's kind of like best of both worlds, if you ask me.
I think so. It's funny because I've been following this guy for a long time, a very long time. And I was talking about this with him yesterday, and he was like, "Oh man, like that's even longer than I thought." So this guy has had a huge impact on me and how I think about like storytelling and how I use social to like tell stories and to get metaphors and different things across. So I'm super excited he's here.
Cool. Well, to catch everybody up for the week before we hop on here, we set some goals at the beginning of this week for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just kind of knock that out here real quick. John was looking at doing some, really trying to productize the next thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is his Sherpa book into a course that people could take and get ideally the same results as working with John, but we all know that's not possible, but as close as we can, right? And then, so he's been working on that this week. And then I'm working on a brand new offer on my side for the organization I came on with, and we got our first draft together officially ended the day yesterday. So excited about that. It's not live, but
nice. I closed some deals this week, which is just part of the thing. I don't really spend a whole lot of time talking about the deals that I closed, which might be weird for some people who know that I'm a sales coach, but it's been a solid, very solid week deal wise. I just don't get excited about closing deals at this point. It's just the thing that I do. So
you just knock them down and keep going.
Yeah, like
chop wood, carry water.
Yeah, you can't get excited about it, because then if it doesn't work, then you're going to be emotionally invested and upset. So try to keep that even keel. Yeah. I know you hate that as an eye, but
I was gonna say that doesn't work for an eye. I just try and manage the peaks,
the peaks and the valleys. For sure.
I still like having them. So
I mean, okay, that's fair. I like them. I just don't let them get out of control.
Yeah, I understand. Robot John has spoken. I have spoken.
Robot John has spoken. That's true. Let's bring up the guest. Enough about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Man.
Good morning, BiL. Is that what you guys said? Good morning, BiL.
Good morning,
It's
BiL.
beautiful.
Absolutely.
I also want to say that John said he's been following me for a long time. This guy's been following me since the beginning. That blew my mind. Like since I was like a little baby, like one facial hair.
You were a baby.
Man, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming on the show. I want to talk to you about content. I want to talk to you about storytelling. I want to talk about the things that you have tried and failed, because
so many of those,
and people don't understand it and they're terrified to start. So let's start there. What is the thing that what is something that you think was cool that failed terribly content wise, goal wise?
Something that I don't think anyone listening or anyone at all knew I was doing. I did there's this thing called what is it called? I forget the name of it. It's like something experiment. And essentially it was this guy that maybe 30, maybe 40, he just quit his job and decided he was going to be a pro golfer. like just out of nowhere, and he got really close, but he got hurt. I decided I was going to do the same thing. This is after I closed my company down with video games. Not necessarily be a pro like gamer, but just like really, really good. And I quit after like 2 months. But I thought it was dope. I still think it's dope. I still play. I didn't like streaming. I didn't like being in the public. I don't know. I'm a private person, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing to do with marketing or anything. I thought it was cool.
I love that. I remember you talking about going into the esports realm, right? And you're like, I'm gonna go do something over here in esports. It's gonna be awesome. And then it feels like the next day you were like, so I'm gonna go do this thing now. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's harder than I thought it was, you know?
Yeah.
Because like streaming is like one of those things that you see other people do, and you're like, oh, that's gonna be easy. And like, I don't think it is easy. You know, we were talking yesterday about Twitch, right? As a streaming platform, you said it's hard to grow there. Can you talk more about how you look at a platform and how you vet if it's something like a place you need to be hanging out, creating content, or something that isn't worth your time? How do you establish that?
I mean, yeah, like if you look at like Twitch, there's a lot of creators. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think the last thing I looked at said there was more people like streaming than there were watching. Like that's a number I would pay attention to.
Whoa.
I don't know if that's correct. I don't remember where I saw it, but it was recent. Twitch is just hard to grow. There's discovery there. Then plus you add in like female creators, you add in creators of color. Like it's just a lot harder. YouTube, I think it's a lot easier compared to Twitch. I would look at something like that, just the ecosystem as a whole. Also the returns that you're going to get. Like a friend was sending me, he's like, I stream on Amazon. I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing, and I'm a marketer. That's crazy. And dude made $1,000. Like, how long it takes creators to make $1,000 on Twitch? A very, very long time, typically. Yes. Unless you have that huge audience. And even if you do have that huge audience, driving it to something like gaming, unless you're a gamer and your audience already loves it, is very, very hard. So just the ecosystem as a whole, who's on the platform, and where the platform is going. Right now for me, that's TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube. If I can get my shit together. Yeah.
Welcome to the club, friend.
Yeah, exactly.
That's called being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. So, what do you do for TikTok? I know you don't do the lives. I know you do the Q's a master storyteller. He really likes telling stories. We're going to talk more about how he develops the stories here in a second. But what I see on TikTok is one thing, and then we have some videos on TikTok, and then I see Q's videos, and it's nice, it's produced, it's smooth, and everything like that. Are you creating specifically for TikTok differently than like LinkedIn or the other platforms that you're on?
Yeah. So at first, for anyone that followed me like early on, like I was creating on YouTube, all these other platforms moved to LinkedIn, and I created specific for LinkedIn. Then I started really focusing on my company. And then I was like, I got interested in all these other things, closed down that company, went heavy on TikTok, just creating for TikTok. And then I was repurposing that stuff to LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to talk about it here. I'm not going to talk about it on my feed because I don't want to mess up my data. But I'm running this experiment where I'm doing like 1 video a day for a week, then 2 videos a day for a week, then 3 videos a day for a week, then 4 videos a day for a week. I keep hearing videos don't work. And I have a way different theory, and they've always worked for me. So I'm creating specifically for LinkedIn, but I'm also comparing what happens when I repurpose a TikTok video, what happens when I do a video carousel, what happens when I'm doing a long form video, like looking at all these things, plus the categories and a bunch of other things. So I'm creating specific for LinkedIn, specific for TikTok, but it is also all going to change pretty soon here. I want it all to be underneath like $1 to $1 million. Plus, I run experiments and tell stories, but for the most part, this journey-based content that people come back for, because that's the thing that I'm doing right now.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what are you trying to monetize through that? Because you say 1 to 1 million, and I know you as a hacker, essentially a hacker of all things, not like this like web hacker. Sure, maybe you do some of that too, right? But like
that'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, but you could probably do it too. But like you're always experimenting. You're always experimenting, and you're talking about it. So you're experimenting on content now to just kind of see. You're messing with the algo a little bit, right? But then how are you monetizing that?
Yeah.
What's the
So
goal?
when I say $1 to 1 million, I mean like I'm starting from $1. Not like I haven't monetized. Like when I quit my job, the first month I kind of took it easy. I made 3,000, which is nothing. Then I made 10,000 a month. Then I made 20,000 plus a grant, so 35,000 in a month. I know what I'm doing, but now and where I'm at, I've like there's so much fear in the world. Hey, like, can we put this on pause? Blah 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 blah. And I just started thinking like what I do, at least what I've done, I felt like it was a commodity. And I hate that feeling. I want to feel special. I want to feel like what I do is so impactful that it doesn't matter what I charge. So I've started to rework every single thing that I do. So I'm starting from $1. I have some things coming in, but it's like things that I sign like long time ago. Hey, we're finally
Sure.
going to pay you.
Yeah.
So now I'm really thinking, which we all know how that goes. It sucks.
Yeah,
Right?
oh, yeah.
It freaking sucks.
So it's a new status, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
now I'm deciding what that looks like. I have ideas. I can talk about this if you want, but I have ideas. I've talked to people, I've sat down with friends that have done this, but I don't 100% know what that looks like. And I think that's the scariest part for me because once I
Oh,
have
man.
the thing, it's like, hell yeah, let's sell this, let's go. But when I
Mhm.
don't, it's like there's so much fear there because it's like, am I going to be at zero forever? Like,
Well, like I have all the questions about the 1 to 1 million challenge because the videos are rad, man. Very, very great story. But
think.
I want to talk about how data driven you are, right? With these experiments, right? And I love framing it as an experiment for myself because then if I fail, it's not that big of a deal. But if I think about it as like marketing my business, like I'll get hamstrung, like I just can't do anything at all. How did you get to the point of framing it as an experiment? And like, do you do that just that way it's easier for you to take action?
Honestly, like so I was a musician before like everything. And I would find myself, if there were people around, practicing the same song over and over again just because I knew I could crush that song and they'd hear me crushing it. They're like, oh, yeah, this guy's great. But I wouldn't practice something I was bad at. I've had a terrible relationship with failure my whole life. And I started doing this and like legit keeping a scientific notebook and calling everything an experiment. I want to be seen as a mad scientist. Like all that stemmed from like me having a terrible relationship with failure. And I
Mhm.
call that scientific notebook a failure book or my failure notebook because of that. So it mainly is to make it easier for myself, but I've found over time that I just really love experimenting with things.
Mhm.
I really love being able to say, hey, like, you want to do this too? I have exactly how I was feeling, exactly why I did these certain things, exactly what happened, exactly what people said. I want to have all of that because it just makes it so much easier to tell stories when you have that stuff. Hey, I converted at 3%. This is how much I made. And this is what I did. This is how I was feeling. I was sick that day. Like, more data, more details I have, the better.
Yeah, I love that. How um this is a weird question. How nutty is that notebook?
Yeah, could anybody else
Yeah,
possibly
like
read it?
is it no, I'm talking about the inside of it. Like
Yeah,
is
I
it
can
just
open it.
scribbles? Like is it like
I
laces
mean,
out, Dan? Like it's like Ace Ventura, like that
so yeah,
level of
like
okay, so not
it's not
terrible.
crazy. It's not
Yeah,
crazy, but sometimes, I'm feeling it, I do
you look
this in
slightly like a
combination.
serial killer, but not totally.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I don't know. Like it's pretty normal. I don't know if anyone else would be able to make sense of any of it, but I can. I think the
That's
digital
the thing that
version with the
matters.
spreadsheets are easier,
Hmm.
which I do it in combination when I like for the video thing. Like I have each video that I posted and things that I can check off, and I
Yeah.
can manipulate that where I can't with text. So it's pretty normal. It's not too bad in my opinion, at least.
Hey man, I was just curious because I don't let anybody else read my notebooks or my notes. Like there's a rule in my house with my partner Melissa and my daughter of like we don't read dad's journals, right? Because they know that it's just for like challenging the critic and getting ideas out and stuff like that. And don't hold me to anything I write in those journals because it's just an idea, it's just a thought and stuff like that. And so I don't let anybody else read it. But that also means that I write in a way that only probably makes sense to me. So I was curious if it was the same.
Yeah.
Okay. I have some questions for you. What do you think when it comes to personal branding specifically that people miss?
Um, I want to say two things. I was listening to podcasts this morning because I was up super early. For some reason, my arm hurt and I just could not
You were
fall back
nervous.
asleep.
You were nervous
Yeah,
about this.
or I was
I
nervous.
get
Who
it.
knows, man? I don't do
Yeah,
this
that's
anymore,
fair.
so maybe it was sad. It's that the long flowing locks, you know, and Jake's
It's
like
intimidating.
perfect, like shine, you know, like it hits.
It's intimidating. It's
It
very
is.
intimidating.
It
for
really
sure.
is.
It's all
Tangent. I'm sorry. I thought Jake Jordan was very short. Most people think I'm very short. First time I met him, I was like, "Damn, bro, you're tall. This is great." Like,
I tell
and
that
John's like
story.
6'3". I'm like, these are my people. Man.
Dude,
Yeah.
anytime someone asks about you, I tell that story. I'm like, he didn't say hi. He didn't say what's up. He said, "Damn, you're tall. Come here."
Oh, I don't. Everybody at that time I was meeting was like 5'5", 5'6", 5'7". It's weird. I don't know. Big
People-
personalities, but so small.
And
Anyway,
Jake has that look of someone who, like, with the shaved head and the beard, he looks like someone who would be short. Like,
yes,
I get it. Like,
just-
Yeah.
I spend so much time with Jake digitally that whenever I see him, like, in person, it's kind of like, oh wow, yeah, you are bigger than I thought. And like Melissa does the same thing, honestly. So it's not just me;
Okay.
it's pretty much
Well,
everybody.
John's your size, Q.
and
So-
John's taller. He's like 6'3", right?
I'm
Yeah,
6'4".
6'4",
you were
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh no, you were.
No,
in
my
those
hat.
boots.
My hat.
And hat and
Yeah.
Felt 6'3".
That was the whole goal the entire time. I'm
That's
6'2".
right.
But to answer your question, the things that people miss. I was
Mhm.
listening to a podcast this morning, Heather Parody. I don't remember the name of the podcast. It's brand new, but Heather Parody, she used to do NFTs for newbies. And she said, before building a community, what something that you have to do, like blank. And she put it on Twitter. And someone said, before building a community before promoting a community, sorry, it was a question. Before promoting a community, you should build a community.
Hmm.
And I freaking love that. One, because like there's so much focus on like, hey, let me promote it. And she said, she was like, if you're just focusing on promoting it, you're not a good community builder. You're a good marketer. You're not a good, you're a good party promoter, but not a good party host. You've got to be a good party host. I think
Yes.
that's a big piece. People don't build real communities. They just build followings, which isn't going to convert. Like not always going to convert, right? I think that's one. Two, and this is something that I think I got wrong a lot early on. Is I think it's something I'm just now getting right. It's like really understanding why someone should follow you. What's that button? Why are they hitting that button? I think most people, it's, hey, like I'm not growing on TikTok. I'm not growing on LinkedIn. What's happening? My newsletter's not growing. What's happening? People aren't buying. What's happening? And they think they deserve that, but you got to earn that and really understanding that reason. I think right now for me and what that's going to look like for the next year, at least for the next maybe 2 years, I run experiments that are going to help you grow as a creator, as a business owner. That's it. Like, and I'll share my findings for free. Here you go. Like, that's the reason. Whether that's $1 to 1 million or, hey, like all these things I'm doing in video, like whatever it is, I run experiments that are going to help you grow. What's that reason for you? And I think really understanding that, when you understand it, you approach it from their lens, not your lens. It's like, hey, they're saying all these things. I should make this product. Hey, they're struggling with this. I should make this freebie. It's about them. It's not about you as a creator. I think those are the two things that people miss a lot, in my opinion.
So you're building a text community. I have a Slack community, right? People are building these communities in different places: Discord, Slack, Facebook. Probably Amazon tomorrow because they're doing everything. Where do you like to hang out and indulge in community as a user? Because like I know you have your text community, but do you prefer Slack and Discord communities to like text communities?
Yeah, so I've got my text community. I've got my newsletter, which I try as much as I can to get back to people, and that's where I'm breaking down experiments. And then I've got my free support group for creators on Discord. That's the thing that has my most attention.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I don't like hanging out in most communities just because it feels like the party like promoter, not the party host. I don't love the Discord experience unless it's just me and 2 other people playing a game and talking
Right.
via voice.
Great.
But like the group, like the full group, I don't love. I think there needs to be something created that's a lot better. It doesn't exist. But I'm not big in terms of like joining digital communities. I love physical ones though. Um, hey, buy into this. Let's do a retreat in Colorado. Like that's my kind of stuff. But if it's really good and I see the value, I'll join a Slack, I'll join a Discord. It doesn't matter. But I have such bad ADHD that I get so distracted. So I try not to join a lot of them.
That's fair. Cool. Jake, questions, man. I'm like,
I know. I'm just waiting.
Go ahead, man. I will pass the baton and drink some coffee. You go ahead, my friend.
The fact that your daughter brings you coffee, that is amazing. So amazing.
So we were playing last night, and Alice needed something, right? And then she was like, "Are you gaming?" And I was like, "Huh?" Like obviously gaming, like like yelling at kids and everything, and that. And I'm like, "Yeah, obviously." And she was like, "Well, we need something." I was like, "Okay." Well, then she was like, "Well, tell your friend I feel bad." I was like, "You can come tell him." So she came around and was like, leaned into the mic and she's like, "I'm so sorry. Me and my mom needed dad's help." And he's just like losing his mind, like getting shot in the face the whole
such
time
an adult.
this is happening. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh gosh, she's such
It's
an
amazing.
adult. Yeah, back when we were streaming before, she made a few appearances on camera, and I swear it got our most interaction.
Yeah,
she came on camera.
Yeah, no one's here to see this for sure. Yeah. Right? Absolutely.
Well, so here's what I want to know. QM, that's what I'm gonna call you, QM. QM, here's what I want to know. What do you want to talk about these days? What is just like burning to talk about? Because you were that guy. You're like, hey, here I got a thing. Let's talk about it.
That's
a good question. That is a good question. I don't know if anyone's ever asked me that. I really appreciate that question. Actually, I want to talk about what's in my notebook. Because that's how my mind works.
Let's go.
Like with everything, I'm so tired of feeling like what I create is a commodity. Everybody does personal branding, everybody does community building, everybody does marketing, everybody does all these things, but no one can replicate the things that I do in the way that I do them. And that's what I want to talk about. And I just want to create art because I think that's who I am at my core, just an artist. I'm tired of I do this, and then I see someone else do the exact same thing. It's fine that they do that. That's on me that I'm not able to create something that they can't replicate so easily. So that's what I want to do, and that's what I want to talk about. What's in the notebook?
What's hard about that for you? Talking.
I think for the longest time, it's that I think about things so deeply. I like to go so deep on things. Like even like if my girlfriend's trying to teach me golf or snowboarding, when I went snowboarding, first time I moved to Colorado, I was like, I love you, I love my friends, but tell me what to do, show me what to do, and then just leave me and I will learn. Like that's just how I am. And I fell so many freaking times, but I was watching people. I don't want someone to teach me. I watched an instructor teach someone else. I need to understand why I need to lean this way, why I should fall this way, why I shouldn't do X, Y, and Z. And when I understand why, and then I connect it with how my body moves, then I'll learn. I need that deep understanding. Like I just always felt like there weren't a lot of people like me that felt that way or learn that way or want to see things on a deep level. There's a lot of people that do. And even if they don't, they can learn little things from those things. So it's always been hard for me to show that side of myself because people saw hey, I'm Q, what's up? Like, blah, blah, blah. And that's just not, it is me, but it's an extension of me. It's me overexerting certain parts, like I get like that when I'm really, really excited, but I'm very rarely like really excited like that,
So do you feel like you're leaning into that more these days with your content?
Yeah, I think I'm starting to. This is the beginning.
I have a potentially difficult question.
I like those.
Was this something you have been wanting to talk about, but were holding yourself back because of head trash, because of limiting belief, because you were concerned about how other people would do it? Or was this like one of those things of like, oh, I need to talk about this thing, and then it just all kind of like sunk in?
I think it was both. I think since not beginning, but maybe 2017, 2018 is when I really wanted to lean into this. And then recently I'm like, hey, I sent out like a hand raise email. Like, if I did this 0 to 500K challenge, would you be interested? And then I was like, yeah, like there's so many people interested. This is cool. I decided to do 1 million instead. And that's another story. But when people said like, yeah, I'd love that. Like, I want to see the notes. I was like, cool, let's do that. It was the scariest thing just saying I'd do that. But I think I need that sometimes, you know.
Do you know Jay Kunzo, Unthinkable podcast?
Sounds familiar, but I don't think so, no.
Okay. When you said you just don't want to be a commodity, you want to make art, you want the you are almost the product, right? It's what you do, how you do it, the way you do it, like, because you're famous in my eyes also. For me, I don't care what anybody else says, I don't do best practices. That's something that you've said for a little while now. So would you tell people what you mean by I don't do best practices? Because that would be easy to fight with you about.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do, honestly. It's not that I don't do them. I have my own, but I don't just subscribe to those. I think, like, let's just take LinkedIn, for example, or TikTok or whatever. Like, you have all these people saying, don't do this. And I get it from a storytelling perspective or a hook perspective. It makes sense. Like, tell someone what to do, don't do this. Like, that's attractive. But just LinkedIn, let's say you see let's say you do a case study on 100 creators, random sample size, and then a random sample group, and then you have like maybe 50 of the top creators, and you find that selfies and long motivational stories are the way to go, and that's what you need to be doing, and then you need to space these out, and you have all these other criteria. When you only subscribe to best practices, you're only playing defense. You're not playing offense. You're not being assertive. You're not being aggressive. When you're doing that, you're never going to be first to anything. If you never first to anything, you're a fucking commodity and no one's going to talk about you ever because you're only doing the same things. I don't care if you're going viral every single time. If that's all you're doing, what value are you really bringing to the world? I started in 2016 creating content, and 2017 on LinkedIn. There were so many creators in 2017 telling you do this, do that, and maybe 5 of them are still consistently creating. No one's talking about them anymore. Some of them like are crushing in business, and I'd rather have that than creator any day. But for the most part, no one's talking about them because it was just best practices in 2017. Then they change, and then they change. But the people that really make an impact are the ones that are there in the change. Hey, carousels just released, and this is happening. Where's the platform going? Let's test this. So I'm totally fine with best practices, but only best practices. I don't vibe with that.
Love it. That's a great clarification, because I mean, like the way that you talk about your own brand, and I think, like you said, the ones that really still matter, and probably the ones that are crushing at business, have this air of genuineness and this passion about what they're solving, and that's how they talk about it, not the best practice way. They just take whatever's working and lay that on top of their actual genuine message, and that's why you're fun to watch, is because we're always going to get genuine, but then this exact same time you're experimenting with best practices, kind of, right? What's working, which that's essentially the way I look at it.
I wish more people like understood what working meant to them. Like, it's like, this is working, but what does that actually mean? Like, is it making you money? Like, is it driving traffic to your website? Like, what is it doing?
Hold on, Q, because some people are not ready for that level of conversation because they just don't think that way. Like, and this comes back to personalities and everything. If you're talking to someone who doesn't think about the world systematically, and you're like, okay, so what does that mean? Believe me, as the sales guy who's like, oh, you're killing it in sales. What does that mean for you? You hitting your goal? And they're like, I said it was fine. Well, that's not the same thing. Are you hitting your goal or are you fine? Like, these are different kind of concepts. And so picking people apart around data points that they don't have vision on is a long haul slog, because that's the majority of my day.
It's true. It's true.
You said something in there of you would rather be on the business side. You'd rather have that any day, right? But man, I think this is interesting. I think that your artistic nature stops that from happening, right? Because business is about repetitive motions that drive business, that get you to where you're going. And that means like not change. It means doing the same thing over and over and over again. Like, so do you think that is something you should be shooting for when you know how you need to push the envelope and do these experiments and stuff like that? Are you trying to go in 2 different directions, you think?
I think I'm blanking on the word, but I always have. It's always 2 conflicting sides of me. Like, I'm always a person behind successful people, but I'm also a personality, and I want to be the successful person. I want to be the person in front. That's always been a duality for me. It's always like kept me from not like leaning into one or the other. Same thing with what you're saying. I pair really well with someone that is data driven, with someone that is structured, organized. They know their shit and they're very tactical in one area, because I have those things, but I'm more of the creative side and I just pair it well with that other side of me. That's when I do really well. I think the cool thing about what I'm doing now is that depending on the model I choose, which I think I'm pretty clear on, I am, like Jake was saying, I am for the most part the product. So if I grow, the more attention I have, the more money I make at the bottom. And if I could do that right, it's still doing the boring things over and over again, checking it off, being organized, having those systems and processes. But I also get to be an artist. So I think I've just got to pair them well, but I have to be disciplined. That's always been a huge barrier for me, a hard part for me. Like I've had to build systems and teams around me to help me be disciplined. I don't have any of that. I'm alone now. But I have to have that. But any day of the week, I would take being structured, doing the boring things, making the money, because that money I could just pour into building a personal brand. I'd rather have that than the personal brand personally.
But it goes back to wanting the personal brand, which is funny, right?
Yeah.
It's just the grease, it gets you along faster to the personal brand. So I love that. And I think creatives in particular have to very quickly systemize and delegate, or at least have someone help them do that. Otherwise they do burn out. And you get the stereotype of the poor creator, the poor artist, because I know lots of them, and most of them are that way for that same reason. Because it's not that you can't do it. It's just that you can't burn in that area for a long period of time and not want to jump off a bridge, But
absolutely.
Give me my guitar. Let's go,
1000%.
So I was doing some stalking on Q last night on his LinkedIn profile, looking for some juicy questions and stuff. So can you talk a little bit about Banff and Josh and writing on LinkedIn, right? Because that was a huge thing for me, was finding Banff and like seeing that you could write these stories, and that there was like, to me, that was the first time like art and creating content kind of like meshed, right? And I was reading these stories and they were powerful. So, and you worked with them. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what'd you learn from them? What'd you do for them?
Yeah. So with Banff, I was right before I was doing this YouTube daily thing, just quickly checking in, talking about my life and what I was building, like a diary, basically. That's how I got started. Then I moved from platform to platform, ended up on this platform called Ask Whale, which was like this question and answer expert thing. Like I was building a VR company and an agency, which another story for another time, but that's what I was doing. So I was answering VR questions and marketing questions, and I was an idiot, but I was answering them anyway. Had a lot of traction on there actually. But then that platform closed down, the company closed down. And then I remember going on LinkedIn, reaching out to a guy that I saw in a newspaper or an article online. And I was like, yo, dude, I see you work with freelancers. I would love to chat. Ended up like connecting me with a big company. For me at the time, I made like $800 a month with this company, which is nothing, but I was like so excited. And I was like, this is amazing. But he was friends with Josh. And then I saw what Josh was doing on the platform, and he was writing these long stories. Like, I don't understand why people would wait in the line in an airport when you have an assigned seat. I can sit down and write. And I actually remember the story. Like, I don't know why I remember this one, but I could sit down and work and do this. We're going to sit in the same seat anyway. Or I wake up at X-Men, like these long stories that people could get value from. And I was like, this is so cool. I should do this. And I started doing this. And then I ended up seeing Josh speak for an event that my friend who connected me to this business, he hosted this event, ended up seeing Josh speak. And I walked up to him. I was the only person in the room that was like taking in-depth notes, because again, that's how I am. Walked up to him like, dude, you're amazing. I want to do what you do. This is so cool. And he told me to unfollow him. And I was like pissed off. I was like, dude, fuck you. Yeah. like, God damn it, man. Like I was looking forward to this. They say, don't meet your heroes. Like, this is totally true. But he ended up saying like, it's our job as entrepreneurs, creators, marketers, whatever, to treat everything around us like it's black and white television. And it's our job to create color TV. And like, that has stuck with me like since then, because after that I went home and I was talking to my business partner at the time, and I'm like, I'm just going to go fucking ham on LinkedIn. I'm going to take over. I'm going to be everywhere. People are going to know my face. Then they released video and I went freaking ham because I knew that maybe I wasn't the best on camera yet. I didn't really have the best editing skills yet, but I knew that since it was so new, people wouldn't be jumping on as fast and I could grow with the platform. And I did. And I went ham. I was posting every single day. I was flying out to collaborate with people, flying out to meet people, but creating color TV. And I think I'm really starting to create it now. But at the time, like with what was going on, I was doing it then too. And then later, I did I talked to one of their clients about video. And then later after I closed my company down, I say consultant, but essentially what I was doing is driving traffic for them. That's what I was doing. I was helping them get clients with what I was doing, basically like an affiliate type of thing.
Interesting, man. How long did it take you to be unmad at the "don't follow me" thing?
Like a day.
Okay.
That's a lie. I had a chip on my shoulder for like 2 months. Maybe.
There it is. There's the guy I play video games with. There it is.
Yeah.
I was talking about this earlier this week. I can't follow too many other salespeople because I will find I'm not trying to do this, but I'll just find little bitty tangents and I'm like, oh, that's kind of like how I talk about this. And then it kind of has so I have a lane of other salespeople and I'll go look at that, but it can't be just in my feed, because it'll wash on me a little bit. It'll impact how I talk about my stuff. So
I actually love
the same way.
following other industries than mine because it gets me, because I think all of us here love illustrations and metaphors and things like that. And it creates these really unique opportunities for us to say things in our lane that other people don't hear in our lane. Because we're like, John and I earlier this week, how do you create so much content? Like once you see content everywhere, you can't unsee it. It's a switch that turns on and all of a sudden everything's content for you. So
yeah, it's like a sickness. Like there are some days where I'm like, oh, how would I tell that story? And then I'm like, I shouldn't even be focused on how I would tell that story because it has no interaction with me or my clients or anything. But the
obsession.
Yeah, it's there. It's real for sure.
Yeah.
When did content become a thing that children, a word that children use? It's so crazy. Kids are saying we got to create content. That's so crazy. I was a content marketer. It's so weird.
Yeah.
My daughter wants to start a stream. Okay, so I wish she was in here. Actually, this would be fascinating because she's 10 years old and she's got a couple of YouTubers that she follows, and one of them does the squishies. Her name is Myra Elizabeth or something like that, and she does squishy art. So she'll take squishies and sand them down and repaint them and stuff. And she has a million or something followers. I mean, it's crazy, And so now my daughter wants to have a YouTube channel where she reads stories to kids, and she's going to call it Milk and Cookies. And I'm just like, all right, let's go. Don't threaten me with a good time. We can set up the cameras and film your
That'd be at cookies.
Yeah, film your launch video and let's go. But I think it's really interesting because for a long time, when I thought of content, the only thing that I could think about it was blogs, email newsletters. I didn't even think about video as being a content vehicle, and my life got a little bit easier when I just zoomed out and I was like, if you're creating something that is meant to hold attention and teach and educate, or maybe just entertain, it is content, right? We have a guy who's going to be coming on the show, and he makes these rap songs about B2B topics, and they're fire. They're so good. It's not cringy or anything else like that. And so that's content. And that is going to, he's talked about, well, I could have written this as a blog post and it would have taken me months. I would have had to do a bunch of research. And for what? I did it as a LinkedIn rap song. I got sponsorship deals. I got job offers. I got all of this stuff. And it was just because he was taking the same information and displaying it in a different medium than what had been done before. That blew my mind.
Yeah. And that's how easy it is, especially on LinkedIn. Just be different.
Just be different. Right. And everyone is terrified about doing it. And I can remember whenever I first started writing, I was doing the 30-day social thing, which I think Jake showed me.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just post daily. Yeah. I'm old.
Is that what DS stood for? It was days. Wow. Dude, I get things so slow.
It's because you're so far underneath, man. You're like, what color?
Yeah. What does that color of blue mean? Oh, it means daily. So, interesting. Small mountain. You're a tall guy and nothing's filled. Man, this is so fascinating.
Yeah. I smell Nashville barbecue when I see that color of green. I don't know why it is, but what do you think my brain's doing?
So, can you talk a little bit about, and this is like nuancy as hell, so I don't know that we're going to get any kind of good response from you on this or something that's actionable, but how do you get people past the point of being scared about being themselves and really leaning into who they are personally, right? You've been the misfit guy, you've done all these other things, right? So I view you as kind of this chameleon who can kind of move around between these circles. How do you get other people to like let that wall down and really just be themselves?
I think me doing it helps a lot of people. Just gives them permission. I think that's helpful. The biggest thing I would say to people though is you got to take action, and then it's feedback from there. Um, but I also don't like that, because that's when you start to see things like depression, when numbers aren't aligning with how you view yourself, because you're attaching your identity to that feedback.
Yeah.
But I think just putting yourself out there and seeing like, oh wow, there are other people like me out there. Wow, other people like me. But as much as you can, just don't attach your identity to what you create, because what you create is gonna go up and down. It always will. But I don't think there's anything that can do it but action, in my opinion, or
Time at the
deep,
table,
deep,
reps.
deep therapy.
Miyagi, getting in there doing some Miyagi stuff in the deathmatch warm up. Yeah, man, Q, thank you so much for coming on the show, buddy. I apologize we were having some tech issues and running late. This was rad, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Y'all asked good questions.
And tell people, you've got Discord.
Plug yourself, my friend. Give all the CTAs.
That's right.
Put them all out here. Let's go for it.
Hey, I didn't
made
even
it all the
know.
way to the end.
This camera. Tell the world what you're doing.
That's right.
Follow if you want to keep up with the 1 million challenge. Otherwise, if you do like the deep stuff, subscribe to my newsletter, because I'm going to be like showing my notebook and what exactly I'm doing and why and all that good stuff, all the nerdy stuff. But that's about it.
And Q has a course that was super helpful to me, because he's not going to let me plug you, because I don't think you did the best job there. Q has a course about building templates and building systems that allow you to be more creative. I've taken the course. It is awesome. There are templates, there's guides, there's everything you need in there. It is what helped me get unstuck around video, and it's the reason that we're on TikTok. So, man, thank you so much for that. We wouldn't be on there if it wasn't for you. Go check out this course.
Appreciate that. I actually just did a 2.0 version that I need to send to you.
Okay.
So it's not live, but it's going to be live probably today. I need to send that to you, because everyone that bought the first one, I'm just going to give the second one for free. So
that's right. I get a gift on a Friday. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Well, we'll get Q's links on this post too, so you can just click straight into his stuff and you can find him. And of course, man, Q, thanks so much.
Thank you, man.
Always awesome.
Appreciate y'all. Yeah, this is dope. You guys ask great questions.
We gaming later, bro? Is that
Actually,
happening?
I hurt my arm, man. I was playing basketball. I feel like I don't know. I'm gonna hurt my wrist. I might have to take a break.
Man, we played last night. Did you play basketball like after we played games?
No,
last
it was
night?
actually before. My wrist was hurting a little bit, but like this morning, I woke up and it was like.
That's why I was carrying you.
Yeah,
because your wrist was injured. That's why.
Right.
It's never happened, guys. Never happened ever. I promise. He was so good at this game. It's sick.
He was so lame that you were carrying.
Yes, exactly. Q wouldn't be able to touch his mouse, and he would still just be able to crush me in this game. That's how good he is. It's crazy.
There's people that play with their mouth, man. It's insane. Like,
yes,
oh, wow.
that is true. We have a guy. He doesn't have crosshairs. He purposefully turns his crosshairs off to make the game as hard as he possibly can. And
that dude's crazy.
Crushes. It's so sick. He's so good. It's fantastic.
That's great.
So, all right, man. I will ping you later. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Sharing this stuff, sharing like the nerdiness behind the storytelling, right? Because the front-facing stuff has got to be nice and solid and polished, but we're all weird in our own way, right? We all have to figure out how to tell the stories that make sense to us and resonate with the people that we're trying to build relationships with, man. So thanks for pulling back the curtain, showing us some of the nerdy side. Go follow Q on TikTok and go follow his newsletter. His stuff is epic. He shows his failures and you can sidestep some of those failures for yourself. So very, very rad.
All right. Thanks,
Jake,
everybody.
both.
Thanks,
yes, man.
Gabe.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Ann.
Thank you, everybody. Yes, y'all are awesome.
Thanks, Levi. Thanks, Kamal. Thanks, everybody, for coming in today. And we will see you next week for more Morning BiL.